I would go and say this is Wayne Bennett's greatest achievement this year.
That was disgraceful what he said. Disgraceful.
What's on the... I think he's gone to the toilet too. There's a bit of a Dilbury hanging on.
When I first made actually State of Origin, you heard on the radio.
That year, in 2004, you could not tackle Roy Asatasi one-on-one.
Yes, we're back. You ready to rock?
Ready to go.
I'm always ready to rock.
Here we go. Oh! Gets nicked and inflictor!
Get an ambulance. Get an ambulance. Boom.
Right off his stomach.
Straight off his melon. Oh,
Can you believe he did that?
With a long-range shot, the arms up. It's a point.
He was one of the great days.
Welcome to Freddy the Eighth, another cracking episode coming up. Our favourite time of the week. Everyone well?
Yes.
Yes.
A little bit cool now, isn't it? In the morning?
Coming from
Monday.
Brisbane.
Monday was cold, Monday morning.
Yeah.
Brisbane
25
was glorious.
degrees.
Yeah, it was
It was
beautiful.
unbelievable.
I love, in the pre-game you were talking about Magic Round. You can't leave Brisbane. The weather's perfect. Next thing it started hailing.
Wasn't that remarkable? It just came from nowhere.
Well, because I'd done something to camera,
Yeah.
and by the time I grabbed my bag and had to go upstairs, a couple of drops had started, literally within a couple of minutes.
Monsoonal.
Chaos.
So it was hailing, yeah?
Hail.
Yeah, it was hailing.
Jeez. Poor old JT on the sideline. He didn't sound the best on Sunday, JT. Look,
He needed it.
let's talk the elephant in the room. JT at Magic Round. Well done.
Yeah.
he was very good.
Yeah.
So
The
he
best.
did the sculling thing, Bob Hawke style. Remember Bob Hawke at the cricket ground?
Yeah.
And finished, and then threw the plastic cup into the outer. They loved it. He can't do anything wrong at
He's a king.
Suncorp Stadium,
Good
can
boy.
he? Coming up on the show today, we're going to continue looking at the greatest club teams ever assembled. Two very worthy entrants today. One team in particular that could have had a dynasty but didn't, and Andrew had something to do with that. We'll have a look at the round ahead as well, and also some of the serious issues in rugby league. In fact, here's a preview of our club teams. Now, this is one of them that's involved here.
Ooh.
Boom. SBW on Joel Clinton. Bang.
That is up there, one of the best hit.
Mate, he does well, Joel Clinton. He makes another metre after that.
One of the best hits was hurt his shoulder, Tigers player.
Simon Dwyer.
Simon Dwyer hit Jared.
Jared.
That is the best hit.
Mate, Nick Kosef in Origin on the front row.
Martin Lang.
Martin Lang. That was a good hit.
He hit him there.
Martin Lang.
Yeah, that was-
Martin Lang loves watching this show, I know for a fact. What about the bravery of him to run the way he ran his whole career?
it was a
But it
mistake.
just goes to show, if you go as hard as you can, you don't get hurt. Like, he's just charge.
Oh, mate,
Clubber.
he used to get concussed a fair bit, Martin Lang.
How's he
I
going
think-
now? I
no,
haven't
he's
seen him
doing
in
tra-
ages.
That's good.
He's doing triathlons and all that sort of stuff, isn't he?
He's
fitness fanatic.
He's like he's in the health space. He might even be something to do with
I think
brains.
I'll tell you what, I think his brother's a bit of a gun in the whole health space as well.
Justin
Yeah.
trains Gal.
Plenty of people speak highly of him.
The Langs.
Hello, mate.
Salute you.
Thanks for running over the top of me a few times.
And
Too
John.
good, Marty.
John Lang, premiership winning coach. Oh, yes. We've seen plenty of things in rugby league. We've never seen this before until the weekend. How does a ball get loose and run on the field at an English Super League game?
Look
and the
at that.
bloke who was hanging onto his tail there trying to pull up the ball. Well
What
done.
players?
What's on the... I think he's gone to the toilet too. There's a bit of a Dilbury hanging on.
Have we been able to ascertain how a bull got free and ran on a
I
rugby league
think in
field?
the end, there's a young girl just goes on and grabs the...
Bull
There
by
she
the
is.
horns.
Look,
Stop it.
yeah, she just goes on and grabs the... It's not a lead, but a bit of rope.
20 footballers run and jump the fence.
Yeah.
One girl walks up and grabs the ball.
So there was two bulls there. I'm wondering whether the bulls were part of the pre-game
They
show
were.
or something.
Something to
Right.
do with Catalans.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it got loose.
And the players had red on. Don't they see red?
You see him running.
You would never have...
No.
Certainly haven't done a running of the bull. Have you seen it before? Been
Yeah.
anywhere?
I've seen it.
You've seen it?
No, not
Firsthand?
live,
Oh, right.
but I've seen it, yeah.
They are certified, those people.
Yeah.
Goodness. We've got a new...
You know who
Ready
did
in
it?
the- Sorry.
Chang.
Did he?
Chang did it.
Hey, Chang?
Chang's a big fan too.
Trent Langlands.
Ah, right, okay. A new Freddy and the Eighth fan. And when I say new, little Bubba. Now, this is Harriet Claire Mantellato, who is the daughter of former Newcastle player Josh Mantellato.
A prolific try scorer and point scorer.
Really?
Oh,
Played a lot of lower grades at Newcastle. Really good goal kicker. Outside back, winger centre, scored a lot of tries.
So that's what happens.
By memory, which you know my memory is not great, I think he played in the Central Coast, maybe Wyong Roos, and broke all the records. Good fella.
so for perpetuity, can you guys say hello to Harriet Claire Mantellato?
Hello, Harriet.
And to all those others, if you want to listen to Dribble, it will just put you to sleep.
That might have been late at night trying to put Harriet back to sleep.
She slept for 14 hours after that.
So you got some of your advice.
Yeah.
Good on you, Josh. Thanks for tuning in. Yesterday's hero, who have we got? Who's our try scorer this week?
Here we go.
To try and hit and spin out of the tackle. Again from the dummy half. It's gone to Kamali. He fires it away. He'll get it over the line. Has scored first. The first try of the night.
He's getting better week by week, this kid.
Greg Bird.
Greg Bird. Well done, Freddie.
Very good.
Sterlo, thank you. It was when he was young. He's getting better with...
Yeah, Maitland Jr. Yeah.
Was he really?
Just another one that Newcastle missed.
He was,
18 Origins, 17 Tests. I didn't realise he played so many Origins and Test matches.
I think he won just about more man of the matches on Origin nights than anyone.
Now,
The other New South Wales
He's still
player.
playing.
Is he?
Still playing on the Gold Coast.
Yeah.
Is he really?
Clive Palmer, is there a team he sponsors or he used to play for?
Right. He's one of those blokes one of the first pick for New South Wales, wasn't
He's
he?
just a
Good
winner.
fun.
Yep.
Goes hard.
Boys, one of the great magic moments of Magic Round, Val Te Whare's debut for the Dolphins.
Yeah.
How good did he go? Wayne Bennett had never heard of him when they signed him to the club.
Let's be honest, he looks nothing like a professional rugby league player. Like he's built like a cube. But power. Like
What about this try?
Look at this. Look at this. Doink, doink. That is power. Absolute power. Big, strong, robust, rotund.
So only his second year of rugby league, he has a rugby union background. I don't know whether it was a professional rugby union background, but once you get...
That was great.
That was great, yeah.
I love when they do the haka and they celebrate an achievement. Geez, it'd be good for the Aussies to have something like that.
Remember they did one for Sonny at the World Cup. Remember when we went there?
Yes, that's right.
And they all got up and did a hugger for him. So he got an award.
They did it when Roger Tuivasa-Sheck won the Dally M. Remember that?
That's right, yeah. Very good.
Well, once you get some proper NRL professional pre-season time into him, they've got a real weapon there,
Plays a
haven't they?
tearaway.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Conrad Harrell.
They're the hardest
Wanna be
blokes to tackle. Blokes that are wide, short, stocky, powerful.
Training, you can imagine Connie wouldn't be a great trainer. Like training wears you down if you don't enjoy it, and that hard stuff hurts you. Hopefully he just gets in and he's one of those blokes that just gets on with it, because I think it wears a lot of those blokes out. Just the hard training, but Wayne seems to, those blokes gravitate towards Wayne.
Yep.
He doesn't drive them mad. I think he understands that, you know what, some blokes can do it, some blokes can do other things.
I just spoke to Gus about that in the podcast, actually, and Gus said only a coach of Wayne Bennett's ability and the way he knows his players would probably have picked Val Te Whare, given he clearly looks like he's nowhere near fit enough.
I would go and say this is Wayne Bennett's greatest achievement this year. I thought they'd come last, or the bottom two.
And lost both their starting halves.
Kafusi was out for a long
They lost
time.
their Kafus, they lost their captain for a couple of weeks. Well, they haven't had it easy either, all the way along.
And they carved up the Sharks on the weekend. Speaking of debuts, these two went okay. Here's Joey's debut, where he played fullback.
And fullback. He's playing halfback.
Didn't you say he came on to make it a good fullback?
That was first game off the bench.
Oh,
this
right.
is my first start.
First starting game, right.
Which one was off the bench?
Gold Coast, the year
Gold
before.
Coast.
So this is 94, round one.
All right.
Jeez, you've had a good game.
Yeah. That's good. It was one of the great days.
Yeah, good.
And Freddie's debut, which we've spoken about quite a bit,
That was a lot longer.
back in the late 80s. Was this the chip and chase inside the 10 metres?
Where Royce come and grabbed me
Couple of
afterwards.
Don't ever do that again.
Yeah. Don't have a kick on third tackle again. Something like that.
Sonny Bill's debut was a big one.
I
Sonny
tell you,
Bill.
Can't remember.
Dean
know what?
Farre
You know who else?
scored a hat-trick.
Amos Roberts. had
I'll
it.
always remember it. Dean Farre.
Here we are. Doink.
Ellery Hanley in the background.
Ellery Hanley.
Ellery Hanley.
Yeah, you were talking about the old Wing Park.
Look at that
That's
ground.
on the ground. Yeah, Amos
Freddy.
Roberts. Did Amos Roberts had it? Look at this. All
Look at your stride. Looks like a big giraffe.
Oh,
What number you got on your back?
18 or 19? 19.
Geez, you've carved them up,
Can
Freddie.
you remember much of that?
Little bits. I remember sitting on the sideline, just sitting there going, wow. So
Yeah.
I'd played one game before in reserve grade, the week before,
How old were you there?
17.
Blinder.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I had a good
Carved
team.
them up.
It was a good footy team.
Boys, we've asked you to put together your top 8 teams based on form at this stage of the season. We're getting right into the guts of the season now, coming into round 11. Now, Freddie first. This is who are the top 8 teams based on form, and on the right-hand side, where they are on the ladder.
Right, so I've gone the Rabbitohs. I just think the teams they've played to be where they are, and they've beaten the last 4 weeks, the Dolphins, the Broncos, the Panthers and Melbourne Storm. So they're doing pretty well. Broncos are flying. I think Penrith are just out defending teams. They're just winning games with defence. I still think the Storm are one of the strongest teams, just with a hooker and 5'8". And a big front row like that, I just think they'll keep beating most teams. The Dolphins are just, I think, surprising everyone. They're great to watch. You know, I think everyone talks about team spirit. They're just winning with spirit and then just putting some polish on the end of that. Sharks, Roosters and Warriors. Sharks and Roosters are a little bit, you know, they're sort of teetering. Every now and then they look fantastic. And then the Warriors, I think, are just pipping. Who's just below the Warriors would be the Titans.
Raiders?
Titans and the Raiders, actually, yes. The Raiders.
Talk to us about the Storm.
Well, I just think it was one of those games last week. South did a great job on their hooker. I just think, but with Cameron Munster in your team, they haven't quite found. They lost another, once again, big turnover of players, and you can see what sort of what's happening at the Dolphins. Kafusi and both the brothers, Jesse Bromwich, yep, and Kenny. I think they're still feeling their way. They've got a heap of new players in the team, but I just think they're classy.
We look at they scored 2 tries against South, one off a kick to Remus and then a bar job from dummy half. Their forwards have got they need more off their back row. Their forwards, their front row,
Liero and
Katoa.
That's what I mean. They're going through huge changes. Once again, like they've gone through more changes than Penrith have. But they just find a way to get it done. I think the coaches also, what's going on there? It'll be interesting how long they drag that for. I noticed
Pappenhausen, still no Pappenhausen.
they started to talk about his job now in the paper, if he's going to sign, and wonder how that affects their club.
You talk about the forwards and how they need to respond. No bigger challenge than taking on the Broncos pack at the moment.
Yep.
Yeah,
Big test.
and they're mobile. So not only you got to be tough, you got to make some tackles on the edge, which you cape well. Jordan Ricky,
He's a good player, Jordan Ricky.
mate, look at them, mate. They're 100 and some kilo and they run like centres.
You haven't even mentioned Payne Haas yet.
Well, I'm just talking about
all right, didn't he?
in the middle. You got to do your job, but you still got to come up with big decisions on big players on the edge as well. So this will be Liero and Katoa. They're the ones if they can get improvement out of them. But they're also, they're playing. They're rookies. They're young.
Yep.
Well, young in games. I don't know how old Katoa is. But,
I think he's early 20s, so yeah. I think he's only played 50-odd
they
games.
haven't quite found how to bring him into the game. When he was at the Warriors, he was destroying sides. But I reckon it'll come.
Here's Joey's top 8 on form.
Rabbitohs, Panthers, Broncos, Storm. Now, I've got they pick themselves, the top
Roosters,
top 4. I've still got the Roosters just on trust. They look on paper, they got world-class individuals, but that's the problem. They're playing as individuals. Hopefully their attack starts to hum.
What's your spin on their attack?
I don't know, mate. I really don't know. It's all new combinations. Look, Brendan Smith at dummy half, he's a runner. He's not a ball player. We've got Joseph Manu at 5'8", he's a runner. I just have not seen, on the weekend I didn't see Keary bring Joseph Manu into play and Manu bring Tedesco into play. I think Tedesco's playing like an extra forward. I just think the halves and the fullback have got to get together and put some plays on. And then they had Joseph Suaalii on the right side. I don't think he got the ball in any set sort of structure. He was only running from dummy half or doing hit-ups. But, yeah, they've got to sort out some combinations, but I've got them there on trust. Below that, I'll have to put it back up.
Good. Sharks, Dolphins.
I think I had the Warriors down there too.
The one we have
The
overlooked.
Sharks for me have been really disappointing. They've had some big losses. The loss against the Warriors at home when they were up, was it 26?
Yeah.
And then they got run down 32-30 or something.
Yeah, that's right.
That was really poor. And then on the weekend, they were diabolical.
They were never in the game on the weekend.
Dolphins, they just won't go away, and the Warriors are playing really tough.
And you're right. The two below that, the Titans and Canberra.
What about the Titans? You both brushed the Titans. How good are they going?
They're going great.
Love the Titans.
I'm still nervous they're going to let in 20 or 30.
Yeah. When you can score 30 or 40, it doesn't matter.
Pretty good mind.
That's the way they play.
Yeah. But you're
Kieran's done a great job.
In order to contend with those bigger clubs, they've got to tighten up their defence, don't they?
Yeah.
But you thought when they gave away that massive lead against the Dolphins that they were just about gonzo. They fought back and won their last two. Against Manly and Parra.
Hey, Canberra, the other ones. Canberra. They beat Brisbane.
Horse.
They beat on the weekend. They beat Canterbury. They've had 3 in a row, 3 or 4 in a row.
And 4 in a row.
Who are the other ones?
They
Brisbane,
beat
Canterbury.
Dolphins, Golden Point.
Dolphins, yeah.
And Wagga. Wagga.
Well, it's a big week coming up on Nine's Wide World of Sports. And just to prove how influential this show is in the network, we've got Ken Sutcliffe out of retirement to let you know what's coming up.
Another giant weekend of sport continues tomorrow. At 12:30, summer's big hit, The Golf Show, is back. And Wayne Grady's going to improve your game. At 1 o'clock, Wide World of Sports features the fistic genius of Costas U from tonight's Newcastle fight. We'll have the World Darts Championship, drag racing with the Wild Bunch and brilliant skydiving. On Sunday at noon, League's greatest larrikins lash out on the season's runaway smash, The Footy Show. On Sports Sunday at 4 o'clock, the Neil Fraser John Alexander tennis dust-up. Broncos coach Wayne Bennett in easily the most revealing profile on League's mystery man. League's Match of the Round features Manly up against Canterbury. Later that night, the Aussies are playing catch-up in the Austrian 500cc Grand Prix. Can Queensland square the State of Origin series? Live from the Sydney Football Stadium, Game 2 Monday night between the Blues and the Maroons. And the week just keeps on getting better with the first one-day cricket international between Australia and England Wednesday night from 8:30. What a week on the one and only Wide World of Sports.
How good a week is it coming up?
Wide World of Sports. That's just in my brain since I was a kid.
I know,
I'd sit on the lounge and watch that. Just loved it. Kenny Sutcliffe, what a voice.
Fantastic stuff. Good on you, Kenny. Thanks for that. Can't wait for the Superbikes from Austria.
Wide World of Sports.
Let's go to the big screen. Andrew Johns with his ever-evolving New South Wales team. How's things looking over there?
How are we looking?
Things are looking good. Shoes are looking good.
You're looking good.
Now, the only change I would have to this team would be Joseph Suaalii. Now, this has got nothing to do with his form or what's happened in the media with all the talk of him going to rugby union. It's just that Josh Addo-Carr coming back from that syndesmosis this weekend early. So it goes to show he wants to get back on the field, really dedicated and diligent with his recovery. And, the Fox. Put these two together on an edge, Latrell and the Fox. A lot of laughing, a lot of the word bruh, and a lot of tries. So that's pretty much it.
What are you hearing on Jake and his fitness, Brad?
I heard he might play next week. I heard he might.
All right. Hi. Welcome back.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Been talking on Tinder.
I'm not on Tinder.
Yeah, neither am I.
If
Grinder.
if Turbo doesn't make it for whatever reason,
Yeah.
Stephen Crichton had a blinder again on the weekend, and Campbell Graham's playing sensational footy.
I'd probably lean towards Campbell Graham at the moment. A whisker in front of Stephen Crichton.
Okay. They've asked me to ask you if you've got any left fielders, any smokies for selection. I got one. What about Big Tavita Totola?
Yeah, he'd do a job for sure. Geez, he's been playing well. Hudson Young, I had him on the bench.
He's going good. And I'm a fan of this bloke because I coached him in City one year, Hame Selly.
Yes.
Geez, that is a left fielder.
I'm just saying. I'm just bringing his name up when you're talking about South. He got knocked out a couple of times this year, had an injury, I think. I'm so happy for him. So happy for him. Good fella, goes hard, trains hard.
A smoky. Spencer Leniu. Is he qualified to play New South Wales?
Yeah. Yep. Geez, he'd be dynamite off the bench before and after half
Try
time.
on the weekend when he just said, give me the ball.
Well, you got
It in front of him.
I reckon he'd be the hardest guy to tackle in the NRL at the moment, Spencer. Quick, gets full speed in 3 or 4 steps.
Now, you never give us anything away, but is there any smokies in contention that you're talking about?
They're all smokies.
Something.
They're all smoky.
Give us something.
I am enjoying just watching the footy at the moment, though.
Seriously, he says everything under the sun as soon as you get to Origin.
What about Billy? If you put it on Billy,
Yeah, all the time.
So who's he going to pick at fullback? He's going to pick Reece Walsh or Kalen, as you said? Or is he like that?
He's the same.
That's a big decision.
He's an open book until you bring up Origin.
There's a few wingers there he's got at the moment because he went through a couple last year.
Well, Xavier Coates will be one, won't he?
You got Coates, Cobbo, Corey Oates.
Oates is out.
What?
Corey Oates isn't playing.
He's
back
coming
with
back.
a broken jaw, isn't he?
Hasn't been named.
He's coming back.
He's not playing this weekend.
He's coming back next week, I think I read.
It'll be Cobbo.
And then
What about the Hammer?
Murray Taulagi.
Yes.
Hammer.
Isn't the hammer going well?
Can you do some investigation there, please?
No problem. Well, you give me something and I'll give you something. How about that?
No, I need to get
Quid pro quo.
You scratch my back and I'll scratch yours, as they say.
Probably the hardest part of your job, I'm guessing, is the difficult decisions and the subsequent phone calls you have to make.
When I first made actually Start of Origin, you heard on the radio. There was nothing. I remember when I first actually made grade, you walked into the dressing rooms and there were 3 lists.
Yep.
And your name was on a list and then you went to that coach. That was it. That was the level of communication in the day. You walked in, you dropped your bag off, you looked at the list and you went, oh.
So if you wanted to find out from a coach about what you need to do or whatever, could you go and do that back in those days, or will they just tell you to nick off?
The coach would normally tell you what he wanted you to hear. Normally, if you're going down, you're getting abused. If you're going up, you're getting praised.
Yeah.
But
communication is an important element of the game now.
These days are and it's hard because you need to be notifying them on Sunday. The good thing is this year we're going to announce a team on Monday. Normally we'd be watching the last game.
Yeah, okay.
And sometimes you've got players in dressing rooms, so it's been extremely difficult. But it'll be notified, be announced on Monday.
What about the best phone call you've made?
Best phone calls? Best?
They're all good?
Actually, we did one. The one with Matt Burton was good.
Did anyone cry?
In the tunnel? No, you get very emotional.
The blokes he dropped.
No, they're hard.
You had to talk to Jake when he didn't pick him last year, didn't you?
Yeah.
That would have been tough.
Oh, mate. They're tough.
Yeah.
Tough.
When's the team picked?
Monday. 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Sort of 2 weeks,
less
2
than
days
2
ago.
weeks.
Less
Wow.
than 2 weeks. She's on.
Nearly there.
Yeah.
Super stuff. Boys, what about the Warriors sponsor? Jason Paris, who is the CEO of 1NZ. Now, I think we all know what he said, and Graham Annesley, on behalf of the NRL and the referees, weren't all that happy. Here's the initial tweets, essentially saying, well, they're cheats.
Oh, mate.
Jeremy was on the syrup
Yeah.
when he tweeted that.
Well, he hasn't backed down.
Well, you got it.
So a couple of the Warriors veterans, I think Logan Swan and Dean Bell, have come out today, and they've actually backed that. And they haven't necessarily said the referees are cheating, but they've said that there is a subconscious bias against the New Zealand Warriors.
Leave me alone. Leave me alone. Get some discipline. The bloke came in. The second bloke that got sent off, he's a young bloke, come in, It went like that. He didn't have to do it. It was the pressure of the game and the fatigue of the game. Get your shit in order. That was disgraceful what he said. Disgraceful. Not only should you be able to sue him, you should be able to sue him through a court. But you just can't do that. Awful.
So does the game have any official restitution if a sponsor comes out and mouths off like that? I don't like.
You can absolutely be taken to court.
But I'm sorry, from an NRL perspective, like if a registered participant said something like that, there'd be huge ramifications. But this guy's a sponsor who doesn't have an official role in the game, so you'd be relying on defamation proceedings if you wanted to get any kind of
He's
restitution.
affiliated with the game. He runs the company as a major sponsor.
Sure, but he's not a registered participant in the game, so the NRL doesn't have any jurisdiction over him.
Right.
So,
but you can definitely take him to court with defamation case.
guess the point I'm getting at, if a club wants to line up the sponsor to have a crack at the league and nothing happens in response, might be setting a dangerous precedent.
I thought it was awful.
From a team perspective, can that develop a bit of a siege mentality? You know, they don't want us to win, it's us against them, that sort of stuff?
I don't think Andrew Webster is that sort of coach. Well, I don't know. I understand there's a big groundswell of support for what he said, the sponsor in New Zealand. They think they're hard done by, well, the rugby league people in New Zealand.
What were they hard done by?
I think they're just saying in general.
Right.
But he was saying that is cheating, so he's got to be talking about specifically something that happened in that game. So you think it was the open hand punch?
Well, I'm assuming it was the sin bins.
Right.
By the game, I've got to say I wasn't watching the game because when was the game on? I only watched half a game and I watched the other half on a phone, which wasn't that ideal. So I couldn't say, but there's no way in the world I've sat there and watched their games and thought anything other than, you know what, if they can tidy up some areas of their game, be more reliable, they will contest with anyone. But they don't.
I've got to say this. I don't think the league's looked after them in terms of having enough games at home this year. I think there should have been more home games in New Zealand this year, given everything they've done over the last 2 years. But also to try and build back some momentum for rugby league in New Zealand.
Well, we should have spoke about that round one. Or last year. Was anyone saying that last year?
Well, I think a lot of people, and Gus was a great advocate that games against the Warriors, clubs should take their home game to New Zealand.
So every game.
Well, I don't see why.
For a year.
Why not?
You know, let's get the groundswell for next year. That's a great idea. Considering what they've done the last couple of years, I think I think every player would put their hand up to do it as well.
I think this is the way the draw's panned out. I reckon they've been travelling a lot, and they probably deserve a better run, extended games at home.
Totally agree. Totally agree.
But I'd love the game to prosper a lot more over there. That's not a way to do it though.
No, of course not. Like they're separate issues, but I do reckon they should have had more home
But you
games.
talk about Magic Round. You talk about the ability of having 2 Magic Rounds. You know, one at the back end of the year. It'd be a great place to
New
have
Zealand
it
would be a
in
super
Auckland.
place to have. Remember the old Nines?
Yeah.
Used to go off there.
They played.
Mate,
Of course you did.
Eden Park. What was the surface like?
It's unreal.
Pitch. Yeah, it was fast.
unreal. I remember walking up the side in the stadium, the whole stadium.
But there, you could split it at Eden Park and Mount Smart.
Yeah.
You could play them at both. It'd be great over there.
It's a good
Raglan
ground.
for a surf. And then
Good ground.
We called the last time I was there. It was Tonga beating Australia in that test.
Was too.
It went right off. And as a cricket ground, it's a funny shaped ground, isn't it?
Yep.
The boundaries when they play cricket there, they're about 40 metres straight. There's no.
I can
no
remember
width, no
watching
depth
it
at all.
one day there. Mark Greatbatch, is that his name?
Yeah.
Was just going tonking.
So side on.
Oh, he was just into
Oh,
it.
it's a small.
One of the
ground, isn't it?
boundaries is like
Straight back down the
50
ground, like they're
metres.
about 40 something metres. Yep.
they
Great.
do it well. The Kiwis, I've got to say, dressing up and a bit of carry on. Like the Nines, they'd all dress up, and it was fun.
Be good to drag it to the end of the year and hopefully it was a little bit warmer. Be torture if it was in the middle of the year and you had one of those rainy weekends.
Well, you go Origin, and there's that sort of dead period before the semis. 3 weeks out from the semis,
Around August.
get over to Auckland.
Yeah, and a
It's
few of the
magic
people
round.
that were at Magic Round in Brisbane would probably be over their hangovers by then as well.
JT.
JT.
Magic
well done.
round, bro.
Friday night footy. One of the great rivalries, this. Panthers and the Roosters. The boys from the West against the boys from Bondi. Let's go back to the regular season in 2003. Long, long time ago. Freddie jagged a try.
Really?
Last tackle, Freddy Fiddler. Now it is Pulatua. Awesome side out wide. Girdler for the corner. Campbell, the little jackrabbit, gets over. And looking to deliver the knockout punch. It will be delivered by the heavyweight champion.
Freddie breaking
Big
Panther hearts back at home.
Early
yeah.
2000s.
Yeah, they had good teams. We both had good teams.
By the grand final.
But that was a tough grand final. It was
Wet weather?
awful
another weekend.
conditions, and they just it was a smash-a-thon.
Boys, love this little addition to our show. Great club teams. This week we are admitting two teams, one from the 90s, one from the 2000s. Let's start with the Manly team of 1995. What a hot lineup this one was. Let's have a look at the team.
Craig Hancock. Danny Moore played for Australia. Terry Hill. I grew up with Terry Hill playing
Jeez,
against him.
That's a good
Off
forward
half.
pack. Gillespie, Hasler, Carroll, Menzies, Roberts, Kosef. And good bench.
They're all internationals. Everyone in
O.J.
the forward pack.
Cunningham, Daniel Gardner, Big Solo. Hamono.
Nick
Was that the
Kosef
year he,
we spoke about Nick
Just
Kosef
knocking
earlier.
people out for fun.
That wasn't the year he left and went to the UK, was it?
Pleasure
Follow the
Solid.
girl.
To chase the pleasure machine. Oh, that might have been a bit later in his
We'll
career.
just leave that one alone.
Yeah. How about that for a side? Now, they get to the grand final in 95. They'd lost 2 games all year and they lose to Canterbury.
Yeah.
96, they win the comp and you beat them in 97. So they've got one of the great club teams, only won 1 premiership.
Yeah, they should have won a whole lot more. Yeah, they were a good team. You know what? Defensively, they were good. They used to play that slide defence. It's so hard to break down.
Wow.
That's cement.
You look at all the different teams that were making finals at the stage. So 95, who'd you have? You had Canterbury, Manly. 96,
St George.
St George. 97, Newcastle. 98 was Brisbane and...
Broncos
Who'd they
beat
St George.
98. 98.
Canterbury?
And they
Might
beat,
have been Canterbury.
Yeah.
was it?
And then Melbourne,
Melbourne beat St George 99.
2000. Should have been the Knights.
Brisbane Roosters.
Someone threw an intercept.
Let's not go over that again. Now, here's our second one. The Canterbury team of 2004.
Look at the bench. Corey Hughes, Roy Asatasi, Sonny
Williams,
Bill.
Jonathan Thurston. That's the grand final team, so that's why Steve Price isn't in the side.
Yeah.
Look at that forward pack. Ogre, Adam Perry. Now, Adam Perry, he could whack. Willie Mason, Rennie, Andrew Ryan, Tony Grimaldi. What a team.
Willie
Mate,
Tucker.
at that year in 2004, you could not tackle Roy Asatasi one-on-one. You couldn't tackle him. Jeez, look at him. Young,
Look at SBW.
fresh. Look at Big Roy.
Oof. Oh, boom.
Braith, India. Good ball, Bobcat.
Oh, Matt Utah. He was the other one. He was a
He was
bulldog,
hard
wasn't
to
he?
tackle.
Oh, he was a nightmare. Well, he was like the bloke from Watson.
He's like Brian Totler.
Yes, exactly the same. Makes me us enough.
Shocking haircut, really. What a great grand final that was. 20 years. Can you believe it's 20 years
What was
next
the
year?
final score in that one?
16-13.
Actually, Croc was going to score right on the bell.
Andrew Ryan.
And Bobcat tackled him in a cracker.
Finchy hit him in a short ball, went through the space, and he, got hold of him.
And then there was the Andrew Ryan try save. Is that what you talking about that one?
No,
That was the last play.
game.
Yeah.
Last
Andrew
play.
Ryan saved the grand final with that tackle.
He held,
remember?
Yeah.
he held someone up.
Didn't he? Wasn't it a
No,
late
that was
tackle?
early in the game.
Wasn't it late in the game?
That was the last
The
tackle
final
of the
play of the
Last-
game, Mick Crocker goes
That's
through.
right. Yeah.
Bobcat cuts him in half.
Yeah.
Super grand final.
He's had good battles then. There was big battles in the
Mate, in the grandstand,
in the
there
ground.
stinks in the grandstand
Punch on
all
all
the
the
time.
Right, what's this? Oh, right, these are all our teams that have been admitted. This is how they line up. Oh, look at Manly at the top. 20 wins, 2 losses, plus 439.
Wow.
Wowza.
2001.
So they scored 31 points per game, and the Bulldogs team, 32 points per game. So attack-wise, they're the two best, with the Raiders of 94, that we've admitted to our great club teams. Senior nominations through.
I missed 10 rounds in 01.
Yeah, so we
I
missed
did
it.
my medial a week
Yeah.
before Origin and was out for 10, 12 weeks, I think,
In 01.
in
Really?
01.
Yeah, I broke
That's-
my thumb.
you know
in,
what?
I broke my
Fresh.
thumb in 02.
It was fresh towards the end of the year.
Well, 1 from 5.
Really? Do you know what's another great testimony to that? Nathan Cleary's suspension last year.
It freshened him up.
Yeah. Best thing that could have happened to him in the end, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Did he go to Bali?
Please.
You got an arm, you got a sleeve.
No more headlines,
Big
thanks.
Panther.
Channel 9 games this week. Storm, Broncos, Thursday night footy. Cracking game. Cracking game. Melbourne off a loss back home. How much is the coming back home after a loss factor?
For
You see
them-
teams turn it around pretty quickly.
Yeah. For them, it's a different. Well, Melbourne's a very different place to play them. The pitch is a bit different.
I've already looked at the weather. It's fine.
Fine.
Oh,
So it's pouring.
no, it's fine.
It'll be a bit slippery. I think just the fact you've got their two key players, or their three key players, Jerome Hughes, Munster and Harry Grant, and then even throw in Nelson. I thought South did a pretty good job on all those blokes.
I can smell an ambush. They're really poor. I actually don't know if Melbourne were that poor, South Sydney. They're airborne at the moment. They are flying.
Aren't they?
They stop tries. They're stopping lots of tries. Like the teams are coming down and they're just stopping them. And then once you get a little bit frustrated, they just say, later, you're gone.
Saw some great try-saving tackles in Magic Round. Heaps of them. In fact, I'm just going to make this up. If you've got a nomination, best try-saving tackles.
Mate, the one on Ravalawa, the Tigers in
By
the
Buller.
corner.
By Buller.
Yes,
He
yes,
did it
yes,
again.
yes.
It was him again.
Yeah, he's a good
They
player.
were all coming over. Like,
Yeah.
that was the game.
But, mate,
Yeah.
it was the same as the Nathan. His technique was horrible. He just dived
Yeah.
and put Ravalawa out. Won him the game.
Well, Moses Sully, dummies, he scores.
Yeah, I know. He should have just run. What was he doing?
That's just when your confidence is low.
Mate, you got to run, man.
Mate, he's like 110 curler.
Mate, the best one of the round was Taruva, chasing from behind one of the Warriors blokes and grabbed him around the legs. You reckon he stopped him that far short of the line? Try-saving tackles, best ones you can remember. Send them through at NRL on 9, and we'll get a few of them on the show.
The most famous one, Scott Sattler.
Dylan Edwards last year in the grand final was another great one too. If you remember, down the left-hand sideline.
The Scotty Sattler one.
It's hard to beat, particularly in the circumstance of the game. Speaking of which, Penrith Roosters, Friday night footy, out at Bluebet Stadium in Penrith. What's the weather like?
I haven't looked
Friday.
in Sydney.
No, I think it's pretty good all week.
Is it?
Actually, it's going to rain early next week. I know that. Saturday and Sunday, 30%, 50% chance of rain.
Right, so Friday night at about kick-off?
Friday night, 22 during the day, 10 at night.
10.
So with it being warm during the day, especially out west, it's generally a couple of degrees warmer.
dew.
The dew.
Is that the dew factor?
The dew point.
Well, the dew point. The energy needs to come out of the grass, mate. The heat's got to come out.
Right. Who's going to win?
Penrith.
Leave Penrith. I can't wait for the front rows. Can't wait for the front rows.
Jeez, I like him as a player, Preston.
He's a good player.
What a good player he is.
And Sunday...
I'm not sure why he come up then, but
No, I think that was a miss. That was a miss-hit. Sunday, Manly versus Sharkies. Now, this is a fascinating game. Again, home ground factor. Manly back over at Four Pines Brookvale after they've been ordinary the last couple of weeks. Can they go all Bass Brothers on us again on Sunday afternoon against the Sharks?
Well, they have to.
well, they need to hold the ball. Don't about bashing blokes. Hold the ball. Be tough and hold the ball. Get up and play the ball. That's what they got to do.
What's going on with Cronulla, you reckon, Freddie?
They had a big year last year. I thought they overachieved last year a lot.
They seem to struggle defensively on big occasions. Like that's a 40-odd thousand crowd there on Saturday, and it kind of went to toilet for them again. When they play at home, you know, they get their 10, 12,000 fans there
Remember
at home. They revel. When they go into the bigger environments, they struggle.
Well, they dropped the ball. They did exactly the same as Manly. Errors. They can't defend errors.
And defensively, they weren't pulled out of shape structurally. It was just some poor one-on-one misses. Their left edge has to improve defensively. Their left edge is leaking points.
Well, Manly's not that much better. I think they're both in a very similar position. They've both got pretty good attacks, but at the moment, they just seem capable of making heaps of errors.
Let's hope Turbo fires back. Now, this week we are departing from Andrew's words of wisdom because you've got a special young lad you'd like to give a shout out to.
Yes, Tane Woodford. Now, this is a young guy who is just obsessed with rugby league. His big goal in life is to play NRL. Now, last year, he was short of breath, went to hospital, and they found a 12-centimetre tumour between his lungs.
Wow.
So obviously went into intense chemotherapy. Now, all he kept asking doctors was, when can I play footy? When can I play footy? The doctor said to his loved ones, you got to talk to your son and say, you got to concentrate on surviving. Well, this weekend on Sunday, he's playing under 21s for South Sydney. So
Oh, super.
Say all the best. And then on Sunday, he turns 21.
Oh, really? How good?
But he doesn't drink. So
Maybe you should help out there.
I might help out, Tane. So I just want to say, mate, well done. A great rugby league story. And then, yeah, we might get some footage of him playing under 21s on Sunday, and we'll show next week. But
great idea.
Yeah, I think everyone in rugby league should applaud you for your courage and how much you love the game.
Good on you, Tane. Go out and rip into him. Jeez, he looks like a
He's a big
big boy, isn't he?
He looks like a footy player.
He's a tough lad. Good on you, Tane.
I understand he was training in hospital. It made him bring in like a bike, and
Yeah, right.
in between treatments, he was passing the footy with his dad and stuff.
That's awesome.
Oh, it's just so good. So good.
Hope he goes out and kills him. See you at the footy over the weekend.
Righto.
That's Freddy the Eighth for this week. See you next week. Thanks for watching.